What is up, everyone? Kate here from MB Tennis. Hope you guys are doing great today. We got the Dunlop FX 500 Tour today to review, so stick around if you're interested in learning more about this racket. But before we get into it, do not forget to like and subscribe. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. Would mean the world to me. If you can subscribe to the channel, it helps us create better content for you. And yeah, we're on our way to 10,000 subs. Please help us get to that goal by the end of this year. But to the review, we have the Dunlop FX 500 Tour for you guys, and a little bit of history about this. Some of you guys, if you are very loyal and do remember when I did my racket bracket almost about a year ago, time is going by really quickly here, this was part of the racket bracket. 10Com did send me a Dunlop FX 500 Tour with some weight on it for me to demo and to see if I would like it. It didn't win that round, but the demo period of time with that racket was very short, so I feel like I owed it to you guys to give you a full review on this racket and to give you a review without any customization, because I feel like this racket can play very well for a lot of people without the customization. So we're here to do that for you today. Got the racket, got my Super Toro in here at 50 pounds. One thing to note, we did an Bablock Origin review recently, and I did put confidential in. That's because I felt like that racket needed to be toned down a bit with a 16 gauge controlled string. This is a pretty powerful frame, I must say, and I'll get into that, but not as powerful, at least in my eyes, compared to that racket. So the Super Toro worked fine. So yeah, let's really dive into this. First of all, the cosmetic is pretty solid. No standout features, really. I mean, a nice blue racket is pretty cool, to be honest. But yeah, also big shout out to Tennis-On for sending me this racket. Without them, this is not possible at all, so big thanks to them. They also sent me this nice little feel-up pullover sweater, so thank you guys. If you guys want to pick up this racket or any other rackets, gear, and stuff, etc., you can use our code MPTennis10 to get a little bit of a discount there. But back to the racket. Like I said, I played with weight on this last time, so played a little bit different. From the back, really the story of this racket is it's so close to greatness. There's just something that's holding it back, and I can't tell what it is. When you catch it in the center of in the string bed, it really comes off nicely, but you really got to catch it in the middle every time. When you don't do that, and that's really common, it's very tough to catch the ball in the exact perfect spot every time. That's just doesn't happen that often sometimes, and I just feel like when it wasn't doing that, you weren't feeling as connected to the racket. On the forehand, you're able to produce, some good pop actually. From 98 square inch rackets, this is definitely one out there that has a lot of pop. It's definitely in the realm of E-zones of the world, maybe even like Pure Drive VS's. It's gonna give you a lot of pop. Even comparing to like my Radical or my old Extremes or other 98 rackets that I've tested in the past, this one is by far in the lead as far as power potential. And you can even increase that by adding weight or putting a different string setup or putting natural gut in. But from the back, you can get some serious pop if you have good racket head speed and good technique. It really does launch off the racket if you really put in some effort from a 98 square inch, which is a good thing, but also can be a little bit of a bad thing because sometimes it becomes a little bit unpredictable when you catch it off center, like I was saying. On the backhand, also before I get to the backhand, one thing I absolutely love about Dunlop rackets is their grip shape. Their grip shape just feels very good in my hands. And the racket in general, like holding it up by here, some people call it neck, throat, heart, whatever you want to call it, it feels just good. And that's why I have a hard time with this racket, because I want to really like it so bad. Like I want to put it in that like top 5 my favorite racket sort of list, but I just can't. But yeah, the grip palette and everything, it feels very good. For one-handed backhands also, the grip feels solid. I know that people get really handsy or they need to have a nice feeling grip in their hands. I like this one. That's just my opinion though. Like grips that I don't like Technifiber grip shapes, but I do tend to enjoy Head, Babolat, and Dunlop. Wilson are okay, but yeah, that was just something to note. I love the feeling of the grip in my hand. But on the backhand, I think I enjoyed the backhand more than the forehand. I tend to have a flatter backhand, so the power with this one was pretty nice. Balls were landing deep in the court, just how I wanted to. Felt really solid. There's not really much more to say other than that. Considering I didn't add weight, it didn't feel flimsy in my hand from the back. That tends to happen, at least when I'm swinging at it. I'm swinging at it with pretty good racket head speed. I have pretty good technique, so when balls are, you know, coming at me faster or I'm going after it, it's not abnormal with a stock frame for it to wobble a bit in my hands. But I didn't really have this issue with this racket in stock form, at least. I think that if I took it on court at school and I had guys blasting serves at me, then maybe I could feel that, but it's hard not to feel that with every racket. One standout feature with this racket that surprised me was the backhand slice. I was thinking that it was going to be garbage, just because when you just look at some rackets sometimes, you just know they're either going to be really good at something or really bad at something. And for some reason, I looked at this racket and I was like, I think the slice is going to suck. But I was totally wrong. Slice was actually pretty solid with this racket. Pretty surprising. Like I said, no weight added. You know, cut through the air. Kind of like butter almost. Definitely not the best racket I've had on slice, but definitely not a negative from this racket. Up at net though, a little bit of a different story. It's very open for a 98 square inch. Like I said, you're getting a lot of pop. I did a live video stringing this racket, and I was talking to some of the viewers about the string, like the mains and the crosses here. The squares, like the bed itself, is very open. Like I can fit my finger through one of the squares. Like that's crazy. Like for a 98 square inch as well, like we're talking like some serious space in between here. At least for my liking, coming from the Radical, like it's a lot tighter for a 16, 19, 98 square inch. And that just also is crazy because at the end of the day, you know, my Radical is 98 square inch and a 16, 19, and the bed just looks way bigger. Like it just looks way different, but yet it's the same size, same string pattern. But I really felt that up at net. I felt like it was a little launchy, couldn't maybe have the control I wanted on the volleys, but hey, that was just a little bit of a downfall for me. Maybe you could change this with some added weight. I actually do feel like if you added some weight somewhere, not sure where, it could end up playing more like a Rafa Origin up at the net. Recently did a video on that, like I mentioned, and that was like unreal at the net. So you could maybe find that sensation with some added weight, maybe counter it in the butt a bit so it feels more stable and not as launchy. But yeah, definitely not my favorite racket at the net. On the overheads and serve though, that's where this racket really shines. Flat serves, you can really crank them out here. You're getting some serious pop. Once again, this is stock form. For me to be saying that with a racket that's stock on flat serves, that's a good sign. Also on slice serves and kick serves, not bad at all. It shined there, and maybe this is a first touches kind of racket. You hit a big serve, you come for a big forehand, and maybe that's what this racket is really meant for. I just feel like if you're for me wanting to rally a bit more, it just felt a little too launchy at times, and up at the net, same sort of thing. Even though on the forehand and the backhand I didn't notice that as much, but it's still kind of there. On the returns, not horrible either, just pretty average. But like I said at the beginning, it's just so close to being like a very good racket. Like, I don't know what they need to change, but it is very, very close to being like for me, at least in my top 5. The feeling of the racket, like when you're holding onto it, that's a big thing. That's perfect for me. Maybe I need to put a different string in there. Maybe I need to tinker with the weight a little bit. Although in hand, for a racket that's 305, well, without the string. It feels actually relatively heavy, but yeah, it's so close to being so much better, if you know what I mean. So for now, it's just a good offering from Dunlop. Like I said, if you're somebody that's in the E-Zone family, maybe the V-Core family, Pure Drives, maybe you played with an Instinct or an Extreme MP or something like that from Head, this is going to be a great offering. I think a lot of players that are in that 4.0, 4.5 would really like this racket. That's just kind of what I'm thinking here. String, I think for players that are a little bit more advanced, I would stick with a full bed of poly and maybe a little bit stiffer to give you some more control. I thought the Tourline, my string, played fine in it, but maybe I could even string it a little bit tighter with maybe a stiffer poly to have some more control, maybe eliminate that launchy feeling I was getting once in a while from the back and mostly up at net. But other than that, this is, like I said, so close to being top tier. So big thanks again to Tennis On for sending this racket and this beautiful little Fila pullover sweater thingy. Very comfortable. That is going to be it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is the Dunlop FX 500 Tour. We'll catch you guys in the next video.